Okay guys, we're back this week. Y'all have any questions about stuff we went over last week? Kind of basic, not a whole lot you can do with it yet. A lot of it is stuff that that you're probably going to use once you get out of school. Not if, but when you get out of school. Okay? All right. Guys, if you haven't paid attention in the last 2 weeks, tonight's the night to pay attention. Okay? And I'm not saying that you aren't. Tonight is very important. Okay? I kind of dropped the ball a little bit. I have some sheets, and you'll kind of understand what I'm talking about once we get into it. But I have a sheet of the HyperKeys list and what it does. And I left it at home, so I'll bring it Wednesday. I'll bring it Wednesday. You go sit in the back. You're gonna get joined by, there's gonna be a bunch of you on the back by the time this class is over. But I'll bring it Wednesday. But you'll kind of know what to do because it kind of gives you a list on here. So what you can do, I don't know if you can screenshot it or what you can do. I think one of the girls in one of my other classes Googled it. Googled HyperKeys on Eclipse and it came up. So somebody try it, you know, sometime during this class and see if we can get it. If we can, then maybe we can get it up on one of the computers and then print it and then we can get it tonight. But it's HyperKeys on Eclipse. Okay? All right. So come to help. Lesson player. HyperKeys. Open. You guys that just got your software on, do you have your lessons on? Do you have your lesson? Do you remember how to do it?
No, I was fiddling with it when I installed it over the weekend, and right now it's giving me this. So no, I don't have my lessons. But in the weekend, it didn't ask for that. I was
asking for a passcode to even get in. Get out of it, get completely out of it, and then try to get back into it again and see if it'll reset itself.
No, it won't. Monday.
Yeah.
Turn off your Wi-Fi,
Right? Are you
And
getting
then
the
So
one
get
that
on-
you can print it?
No,
I don't have Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I already
Not like here.
I think it should be hooked up to the printer here.
I need to turn it off of my computer.
I think one of the students found it, so we're going to try to get on the computer here and try to print it tonight. And if we do, then we'll get it. For those of you that are taking the class online, what you need to do is Google it. Google HyperKeys, Eclipse, and it should come up. And I'm going to show you what it looks like, so you'll kind of know what it looks like once you find it. Print it, okay? Laminate it. Trust me, you're going to want to laminate it because you're going to use it a lot, okay? All right. So we went through AutoMagic overview, and we're at HyperKeys. Okay, I'm going to give you a brief rundown of kind of what it is. Okay, so AutoMagic and HyperKeys do not have to be used together, and because of that, we'll talk about HyperKeys first. Later, we'll talk closer about AutoMagic. But are there ways to edit without using AutoMagic or HyperKeys? And yes, there is. One, you can look for an icon or a menu item, and then reach out for the mouse to point and click. Trust me, you don't want to use that. Two, you can press F10 to access the menu bar and then press the hotkeys, which the letter is underlined, and then select that one. You don't want to do that either. Or you can use the speed keys to avoid the menus altogether. This is the ideal way for high frequency commands like Alt-E is to edit a job. As we introduced in the HyperKeys, we'll make passing reference to speed keys, okay? So, we'll come back up here and watch it visualize.
The fastest way to edit with Eclipse is to use AutoMagic and HyperKeys. You'll be able to bypass menus, and you won't have to remember whether something begins with Control or Alt. AutoMagic and HyperKeys work beautifully together. Many times you'll be able to pick the choice you need from a numbered list. But sometimes there may not be enough room on the list for the choice that you would need. Wherever possible, AutoMagic would like to also show you the hyperkeys. These allow you to keep your fingers on the...
This allows you to keep your fingers on the keyboard and do commands. Commands, not letters anymore. Okay, so when you're in hyperkeys, this whole thing, and if you look at it real closely, it's a keyboard. Right here, it's your keyboard. So look at your keyboard, okay? And what it is your keyboard, okay? So it allows you to keep your fingers on your keyboard and do commands, okay? One of the most important commands, and I want you to put your hands on the home key. Y'all know what I'm even talking about when I say home keys? Where your fingers go on the keyboard. Is there anybody that types like this with these two? Because you're gonna have zero idea what I'm talking about. And if you do, you might want to take that auto mechanic class, okay? That we've talked about. So hopefully you know what I'm talking about, home keys. Guys, these are gonna be the 4 most important that you have. I, J, K, L. Okay? So what I want you to do is are y'all right here? Or are y'all just in the lesson itself? Where are you guys?
In the lesson.
Get just in the lesson itself. Do not get in here. Okay, just stay in the lesson. Okay? Get somewhere in the lesson. And how do you get into hyperkeys? I'm sorry? Alt Z. Okay? So get somewhere in there. Yeah. All right. You're somewhere in there? So you should have a fat cursor. Okay? So you're going to have a real skinny one. If you're not, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out of this real quick and I'm going to show those that are online. So if you're in here, get somewhere in here, you press Alt Z, see how it gets fatter? That means you're in hyperkeys. N takes you off, or Alt Z. But N is for what? I think we talked about this. Insert. Insert. Like the 4, what were we talking about? Never mind. Anyway, so if you have a small, thin cursor like that, you're just regular. So now it's just going to type letters. Alt Z, you should be in it. Put you in hyperkeys. Okay?
The fastest way to edit with Eclipse is if you press Shift with the key, as you would for a capital letter, it can...
Okay, so what I want you to do is put your hands on the home keys. You there? Press L. Do it about 2 or 3 times. Just keep doing L. I don't care how many times you do it. See what it does? So it's moving over a word every time. Which way?
Right.
Right. Do J. Okay? I, up a sentence, and K is down. Those are going to be the 4 most important things you learn in hyperkeys, because that's how you move around. So it's not your arrows anymore, it's not any of that stuff anymore. Okay, now it's your letters. I, J, K, L. That's it. Okay? Use these. Guys, your homework starts tonight on using. Remember I told you Mondays, use it on Tuesdays. What we learn on Wednesdays, you use throughout the rest of the week. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, till we come back on Monday and learn something else, okay? So these hyperkeys you're gonna learn this whole week, okay?
Have a totally different, often related meaning. So how do you turn hyperkeys on or off? Of course, you can use the mouse to click on the icon of the toolbar, but
Or
Alt-Z.
Alt-Z.
you can also select from the Edit menu or avoid the menus entirely by using the speed key Alt-Z. When hyperkeys are on, the toolbar icon will look pushed in, and you'll notice an HYP on the status bar at the bottom of the...
You see what it's talking about right here? That's going to be on. So let's just say you were under a rock the last 10 minutes that I've been talking, 15 minutes, and you don't know what hyperkeys is or whatever. 1, 2, 3. Got it? So you have 3 things that are going to show you that hyperkeys are on. Okay? 1, 2, 3.
screen. The cursor will look bigger, indicating you're not yet ready to type. And if you have AutoMagic displaying keyboard shortcuts, then you will see the hyper key indicated. But
So now it's going to change once you're in hyperkeys. Okay, once you're in hyperkeys, these functions are going to change. Now it's going to tell you what to do in hyperkeys. It might be something totally different just if you're just in something else. If you're just in like the insert mode. So if you're just in regular computer type in mode, it's going to be something totally different. But when you're in hyperkeys, it's going to be totally different. But you see the INS, which is insert. So it's either going to be INS or it's going to be HYP. Okay, so you're either in insert or you're in hyperkeys. Okay, these things are going to be totally different when they're in these different modes. Okay.
when hyperkeys are off, you would see the regular speed key, and the cursor would be a narrow typing cursor. When hyperkeys are on, Eclipse expects that when you press a letter, it's to give a command rather than to type. If you forget this, and you press a letter to type and inadvertently lose your place, and perhaps land in a dialogue, simply press the escape key, and then use the movement oops command to go back to the last edit point. That's either Shift-Alt-L or hyperkey capital Z.
So it's telling you something there, okay? If you paid attention, it's telling you something pretty important. Mm-hmm. And you're gonna do it, trust me, because I still kind of do it. Anyway, you're gonna make mistakes, okay? Stuff's gonna happen, you're editing fast, something goes, all of a sudden, you're on page 9. Next thing you know, you're at page 99. You're at the end of that document. You're like, what the heck? And now you're in a block file that you need to put something in. That's not what I wanted to do. Don't freak out, okay? Escape. I'm glad all of you are writing this down. Escape, Shift, Z. Capital Z. So remember I told you guys that hyperkeys are going to do different things in just regular letter and then capital letter. They do different stuff. So you're going to do the majority of what you need to do is going to be in short letter. What it also can do and is not used as much is going to be the shift, which is going to be the capital of that letter. And it does something with every letter. A, capital A, B, capital B, C, capital C. You don't understand what I'm saying? Okay? Write that down, because it's going to happen. Don't freak out if you come to like what they were saying. Pay attention to what they're saying right here.
You press a letter to type and inadvertently lose your place, and perhaps land.
And you're going to come into a block like this, a fill in the blank file, stuff like that. And then you're going to, what? And all of this stuff, and you don't even know what this is, and then, well, what? Don't freak out. Press escape, get you out of this mode, or unclick that. Usually it's escape. Just press escape, it'll get you out, and then just start pressing Shift Z, and it'll get you back to where you are. So you may need to do it a couple of times. So don't freak out if it doesn't happen the first time. Just keep doing it, it'll do it. Pay attention, guys. If you get to this spot and you start filling stuff in, you're like, oh, that's not what I want to do, and you press enter and then fill this thing in, guess what? When you go back to press Shift Z, it may not do it now. It may not go back to your spot anymore. Okay? So it only remembers kind of the last command that you did. Every now and then it'll go back to a couple of commands, but don't be freaked out if it doesn't. Okay, so what you need to do is just relax, press escape, get out of here, and then just start pressing Shift Z, okay, to fix it. All right?
In a dialog, simply press the escape key and then use the movement oops command to go back to the last edit point. That's either Shift Alt L or hyperkey capital Z. So how do you temporarily turn off hyperkeys in order to type text? Here you see it as a choice on the AutoMagic list, but you also see that it's in when hyperkeys are on. When you're...
Did y'all get that too? Yeah. So say you make a mistake, or say you need to insert some testimony that wasn't there. You accidentally drop some stuff or whatever. You know, that you know it's not a command, that you can get there through doing a command. And it's gonna happen. How do you get out of hyperkeys?
Control N.
N.
Just N.
Oh, okay.
N. So now, you know, like I was telling you, the letters are commands now. So just N for
For text.
insert.
Or insert.
What'd you say?
Insert text.
That's what I thought you said. Insert. N for insert. So now you can start typing, and now it's like a typewriter. Now you just start typing words or whatever. But if you're in hyperkeys and you just start pressing letters, you're gonna start doing all kinds of stuff. And you're gonna do it, trust me, okay? Which is not a bad thing, because you need to learn what to do with these commands, and you need to learn what to do when you press the wrong commands and the way to get out of it and get back. So don't freak out about making mistakes right now, okay? The more you learn how to do these commands, the easier it's gonna get to do a lot of stuff, okay?
Finished. Just press enter. That turns hyperkeys on again. And if you want to simply type over a word, again, press hyperkey.
I'm gonna back that up a little bit because that was kind of important.
On. When you're finished,
So say you're in your text, you're in hyperkeys, you're moving around, it's like, oh, I need to insert some stuff. Press N, start typing whatever you need to, and to get back into hyperkeys now, all you have to do is press enter. And it gets you back into hyperkeys. Okay? So I'm gonna have you do that right now. So you should be in hyperkeys. What are you doing?
Typing notes because this is.
Oh, that's right, that's right. You know what?
You're making me feel bad like 5 days.
Until you get that fixed, you need to sit by somebody just to kind of see what's going on with it. So get in there, type in, like you're on a regular keyboard. So put your hands on like you're on a regular keyboard, and type
Press that.
the big dog,
Enter. Like, I put my name in.
or that.
Right, or that.
Space, enter. You know how to put you back in?
Yeah, but I mean, I see how I did it, but why did that's okay.
What?
No, because you were so worried about the the alt Z to put it in or the M take it out.
That's to get you into the beginning.
Okay.
That's to get you into the beginning.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And do just do Z right there. Do Z.
Okay.
See how it went back in it. So you don't necessarily have to do the Shift Z. All you have to do is Z. Just do Z to correct anything. So get right on each. N, B tree, enter. You want to put you back in? Do Z. Z.
Well, I'm deleting what I had written over here.
Okay. You got it? Did you do the Z? It worked? Z.
The last time. I downloaded it and it just showed me like it opened up right now.
Everything's back where you were. Okay. Joe, get it?
Why can't you just give you the code?
Can you get out?
Yeah.
Someone did
Control
come in
alt.
on Thursday.
No, I'm gonna just come.
Control alt.
Right.
Cat Z, and it's to be for the oops, I'm going to backspace.
No, I just got on
It wasn't me.
Facebook. I went to Vegas.
What'd you get? Just power. Where's your power?
No. Yeah, my husband just sounded a little bit, but he don't walk by. But, no, exactly.
Get your space.
We have fun. It's just a fire.
It's real important, guys. What I'm telling y'all to do. Pay attention, guys. What I'm telling you guys to do, type in whatever you're going to type in, and then space one more time. It's real important that you space, and you're going to find out why. Okay? So space, then push the enter, and then do the Z. And that's what we're doing right now. But it's real important to type what I'm telling you to type, and then space one more time. Don't leave that space between the two words, and you're going to see why. All of you get it?
Just press enter. That turns hyperkeys on again. And if you want to simply type over a word, again, press hyperkey N, type your new word, and then do not space over, but press the enter key once to turn hyperkeys on, and one more time to chop off the word that you typed over.
You see that? Now we're going to try that. Okay? So get on a word. Let me see where I'm at. So get on edit. Okay? Press N. Got it? Type tree. Ooh.
Or that.
You know what? I tell the jokes in this class, all right? All right? Are we here, guys? Y'all were on edit? Push in, type tree, push enter, put you back into hyperkeys, enter. Whoa. Didn't do it. You see what it did? So when you go in there, and now you can press Z, and see what it did? It put everything back. So it's like the oops key. It didn't? What'd you do?
Mine did.
What did you do? Yeah.
What
Yeah, I
did you
didn't
do?
see that.
Huh?
Do it again.
Do it again? I don't know this, or this. I don't know this either.
Yeah.
So tell me what's going on. I'm gonna do it again. Everybody's here on edit.
Yes.
Okay? Put your hands on the home key. Press N.
I'm completely off. You need to.
Oh shoot. Okay. Well, I'm gonna show them. Okay. Type N. See what it did? I'm going to show you something real quick.
Oh, yeah, mine did that a little while ago.
See what it just did? It put tree in there. Okay? I'm gonna act like it wasn't there, and then I'm gonna explain why it did that. Okay? So now all you type in is tree. Enter, enter, deletes it.
Okay.
You see what it did?
Yeah, just for the.
Yeah.
Okay? Now press Z,
Oops.
puts it back. Guys, pay attention. This was what I was talking about. That's real important that I was talking about, okay? If you do this every time, this is what it's going to do. So let's say you go down and 4 pages later you have edit again, and you need to put the same word there. You need to put tree every time that edit is there. So you go to press N, it automatically remembers that you put tree there last time.
Nope.
Yep.
The more you use it, the more it remembers what you're doing. So now, if you need to put tree there every time, you press enter, enter, it's gone. It put tree there, took edit out, ready to go. See what it just did? Pretty cool. It's real important that you don't do this every time. Because every time you do that, every time you keep the word together and you press enter, hyperkey, enter, delete, now it remembers every time that you come to that word, it's going to remember that word every time. Not even just in that document, every time. So be careful when you're using it. And it's not bad. I mean, you can still type over it or whatever. It's not that big of a deal. You know, when it comes up, and let's just say right here, you know, we do the, okay? So now we're back at edit. We're further on down the document. Now we need to put, last time we put tree, this time we need to put whole. Enter, enter, does the same thing. Okay? Now check it out. ZZ puts it back. Now you go back to N. Now it remembers the last command that you did. Remember? So now it's not tree anymore. Now it's whole. Okay? So be careful what you do with those. If you're just going to be typing stuff in that has nothing to do with edit, and you don't need it to change it every time the edit comes up, don't do it. Okay? Or you can, but you're going to have these words come up, which is no big deal, but you're going to freak out. I guarantee you're going to freak out the first time you see it, and it's like, I don't want whole. You know, I need chicken or tree. No big deal. Now you just start typing, and it just takes it away. So if you see that it's highlighted, now you can just start typing and it'll type. But you're gonna see that whole is there and say, I don't need whole, and you're gonna press enter and all of these things, and you're gonna be at page 99 in a fill in the blank command because you freaked out and just started pressing things. Don't freak out. The more you mess with this, the more you're gonna, oh, now I know what it's doing. You can see it here, but until you do it, it's not really gonna hit you as much, okay? So that's why I want you to use this as much as you can, okay? But sometimes if you wait too long, it won't let you oops it sometimes too. So you kind of have to be careful. And if it does, it's no big deal. You just back it up. But that's the easy and quick way to do it, is with the Z, okay?
I got it.
Oh, man. All right. Any questions about this? Guys, pretty important stuff we're going over. I hope you're taking notes, okay? Because this is pretty important stuff.
I have this one. So if you don't want it to remember that, then you just have to delete the word edit without hitting enter. Like you delete it a different way.
Here's another way to do it. And I think they're going to show you right here. So there's another way to do it.
The fast fastest way to edit with Eclipse is to use text. Here you see it as a choice on the AutoMagic list, but you also see that it's in when hyperkeys are on. When you're finished, just press Enter. That turns hyperkeys on again. And if you want to simply type over a word, again, press hyperkey N, type your new word, and then do not space over, but press the Enter key once to turn hyperkeys on, and one more time to chop off the word that you typed over. Type over tracking will remember the replacements you've been making, and AutoMagic will incorporate.
So it's called type over tracking. So it tracks your type overs. Make sense? Okay, so it remembers what you did. That's why it's called type over tracking. Okay, so it's going to track what you're doing. Okay?
Incorporate this into its choices that it offers. A good way to learn how to use hyperkeys is to install and play lessons of the Efficient Editing tutorial. There are about 15 one-class lessons which give you basic information, as well as a set of Tell Me More chapters that offer more detail. A separate visualizer shows you how to use the Efficient Editing tutorial.
Okay. This is what you're going to do. Josh, right? All right. Josh asked a good question about, well, what if I want to still delete edit, but I need to put something in there? Okay, so get on edit, get on E, all right? Press N, tree, space, enter, in. What happened?
Yeah.
Huh?
Okay, edit and
Okay.
tree.
N, tree, enter. Oh, it's not doing it. And it may not, which is no big deal. So if you want to do what you were talking about, Josh, N, tree, space, enter, D. D is delete. Guys, be real careful when you're in hyperkeys, because when you start typing something and you want to type dog and you start typing D-O, now you just type delete, so you just deleted a word. O does something else, I think it's for ordinals, and now you're going to realize that you're in it. It's like, oh no, so now you need to start pressing Z for the oops, okay? But don't freak out, okay? So press Z, get you back to the edit. I'm going to walk you through this again. Get on edit. What do we need to press? N. Tree.
Tree, space,
Space.
enter,
Enter.
D.
D. Very good. What was your name again?
Katie?
Katie. I knew it. I was testing you. So Katie, very good. I mean everybody, very good. But this is what it does. Okay, so if you want to type something in, no big deal. You don't have to do this delete, backspace to try to type over the word. Guys, D, delete. Okay? Z, oops. No big deal. If you deleted something that you accidentally didn't need to delete, and trust me, it's going to happen, because I'm going to show you how to mark stuff and delete whole paragraphs. And with the oops, you can bring it all back. Just like, oh no, what did I just do? You can still oops it if you don't go too far. Okay, you start doing other stuff, and then it's like, I need to put that thing back 30 minutes later into editing. Not gonna happen. Okay? If you do it right then you can still do it. Okay? So Z puts it back.
The fastest way to edit with Eclipse is to use auto to turn hyperkeys on and one more time to chop off the word that you typed over. Type over tracking will remember the replacements you've been making, and AutoMagic will incorporate this into its choices that it offers. A good way to learn how to use hyperkeys is to install and play lessons of the Efficient Editing tutorial. There are about 15 one-class lessons which give you basic information, as well as a set of Tell Me More chapters that offer more detail. A separate visualizer shows you how to use the Efficient Editing tutorial.
Any questions about that? Guys, we just covered a lot of information right there. Okay, how to get into hyperkeys? Alt Z. Oops. Z. Delete.
D.
Right.
L.
Left.
J.
Up.
I.
Up.
I.
Up.
I.
Right.
Left.
What? Right. Left. Okay. Now they're going to show you different mouse and key commands and why it's so much easier and better to do the key commands. Okay, you can still do it with your mouse. Wow. Okay, and you're going to see why. I mean, you're going to waste a lot of time doing it that way, but.
Let's see how you can use either the mouse or keyboard commands for just about any function within Total Eclipse. The left mouse button is typically used to click or select, while the right mouse button opens a context menu. You may be clicking on a toolbar icon, or a menu column, or simply clicking to position your cursor.
Y'all know this, right? I mean, I don't need to stop. If somebody doesn't understand this, raise your hand, okay? And I'm going to escort you to the mechanic shop, all right?
Right-clicking will open a context menu, which will vary according to where your cursor is placed.
Y'all do know this too, right? So if you right-click, it's going to give you a totally different list of things to do. I mean, totally different, totally, okay? And you're going to need to right-click sometimes to do certain things too.
However, there's no need to constantly reach for the mouse. For instance, you can press F10 or just press the Alt key and release to access the menu bar, H for help. Every Eclipse menu or dialog has hotkeys as an alternative to using the mouse. But if there's any place where you can type in a dialog, then Windows requires you.
So they have these little things. Honestly, guys, I don't really use them. I mean, if you want to use them, you can. You press the Alt, and then you can. It has like these letters that are underlined. That's what you use to open that up. So if you can think that quick, great. If not, then just go to, whichever thing that you need. Okay? Whatever works best for you. It doesn't work best for me to do it. So I don't do it. I don't do the Alt for the hotkeys. Okay? But if you need to, then that's how you do it.
To press the Alt key in order to use the underlined letter as a hotkey. Hotkeys are underlined letters on menus or dialogues, but Eclipse also encourages you to use speed keys, which bypass the menus entirely.
So it's kind of the same thing. So in the Alt thing that we were talking about, like the Alt-I, Alt-T, we're going to have Alt-R to get in the block file, stuff like that. It shows you how to use it. Alt-O is for what? Print. Okay. Alt-U is user settings. You're going to use that one a lot. Okay. So sometimes you need to use it, but it's not really. It's kind of the hotkeys, but it's not like all of the It's not all of the hotkeys. So I wouldn't use the Alt T for the tools. You know, my Alt T is for translate. Okay, y'all get it?
For instance, Alt T to translate and Shift Alt T to stop translation. And finally, there are Eclipse hyperkeys, which are even more efficient than using a mouse.
So if you can come in here, did you find it?
Mm-hmm.
You got it up?
Yeah.
Did you print?
No, not yet. I didn't want to do it yet while you're talking.
Hey, try it. See if it'll print. Just do one and see if it'll print first. Guess not.
It's probably warming up.
Can you check your
Started?
key?
Mhm. Okay. Do you want me to make more?
Let me make sure that it
No, it's
is.
just warming up.
Oh, it is? Check and see if it does. Is that it? Okay, keep that. Do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Do 12. You know what? Do 15.
Just do 20.
There?
You know what? Give me 20 push-ups. Guys, look at this board. I mean, it does all kinds of stuff. Okay? So like we were talking about, so the upper one is always going to be the small letter. Pay attention, guys. The upper one is going to be the small thing that it does, the small letter. Okay, so if you want to delete, but see how it shows it, so it gives it to you right here, I'm sorry. It kind of gives it to you right here. Small d, delete. Capital D is delete character. Okay, so get on something in your tutorial. All right, and do Shift D.
Took off the first letter.
And it should. So we get right here, we're in hyperkeys, Shift D. So what it does is it's shaving. Shaving. Shave. So all it does is shave. So you should be right here. Are you? Everyone has ED?
Well, I just know the different word.
I chose a different word too.
You didn't tell them the word too.
Pay
You
attention.
said find a spot. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On need. Find a spot on need. It doesn't matter, guys. It doesn't matter. So what you should have is the rest of the word. Okay? You already shaved the one letter. You know what? I need to delete that whole word. Press D. Does it. The Shift D is going to keep shaving it letter by letter. Okay? D deletes the whole word. Okay? So that's a command that you're going to use the most. Okay? Is delete. Very rare are you going to shave a letter. You might. Okay? So press Z. Z puts it back. So now you're right here. Okay? Let's get on need.
Okay.
Not just any word, on need. All right? Now press S. See what it did?
Press S.
It shaves the word, the letter behind. Shift D shaves the letter you're on. S shaves the letter behind. Okay? You press S again. Now they're both gone. Press S again and it should move the word over. Huh? Hey, you want to teach a class? Okay. Everybody's trying to take my job. All right? So you just keep pushing Z and it puts everything back up there. So let's say you deleted need, I started shaving no, press Z, 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 and it keeps putting it back. Did y'all get that? All right. Excuse me? What's that?
I have to find the right word first.
Did you get it?
Yes.
All right.
Let's see how you can use either the mouse or keyboard commands for just about any function within Shift-Alt-T to stop translation. And finally, there are Eclipse hyperkeys, which are even more efficient than using a mouse or a speaker.
You were asking, and that's what it does. It shaves the current word. Okay? So look at all of these things that you have here, and most of them are going to be right here on the letters of your home. Okay? So this one is going to be good. G. Okay, don't write it down. When I say it's good, you might want to pick your pen up. Or not, whatever y'all want to do. And then when y'all take the class next year, then we'll kind of go over this again, and hopefully you'll bring your pen and write it down. You see where I'm going with this? Guys, G, small g, global. Okay? That's going to be really important, because this is how you start putting stuff into your dictionary. And it's going to be real easy. There's another way of doing it that's a little more labored. Not really, but okay. I think it's Control G. Huh? Yeah, it's Control G.
If you're not in hyperkeys, though.
If you're not in hyperkeys. If you're just in hyperkeys, it's just G. Okay? For global. F is find. That's going to be another good one. So say you're in the document and it's like, you know what, I need to find that place where it said Krzyzewski. I know I typed it correct, whatever. So now I just need to find it. You press F, brings up this box window. You type what you want to find, press enter, and it goes straight to it. That's what find is. Okay? D is delete a word. S is shave the previous word. And small a, I don't know why they did that, is cap toggle. So do A.
Small A?
Did I say shift A?
I said small A.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's the
Just
big
A.
one.
Huh?
I mean, that's the big one.
I know.
Oh, okay.
But I said, don't,
No.
never mind that. Just do A. You see what it did? Did it capitalize it?
Yeah.
Press A again.
Capitalize it.
Every word.
Press A again. Brings it back.
No, it says keep capitalizing the first letter of the word.
If it's not capitalized, it minimizes it. If it's minimized, it capitalizes.
Hang on.
Keys. But this is the subject of a separate presentation.
Okay. So we're here in hyperkeys A. Okay. What it's going to do is it's going to capitalize that word and then move on to the next word. I'm sorry. I kind of got ahead of myself. But if you go back onto it and press A again, see what it does? So all it does is it toggles. That's what toggle means. Goes from cap, uncap, cap, uncap. That's what toggle means. Okay? But if you keep pressing A, it's going to keep capitalizing every word after that. So once you capitalize that word, then it moves on to the next word. Okay? Got it? Did you print?
Yeah. It's not even.
Thanks for printing. Guys, if you have a laminating machine or have access to it or can get one, I'm telling you, laminate this thing. And I think you can go online. What'd you say?
Nothing.
What'd you say? What did I say?
Nothing.
Huh?
Nothing.
Laminated. You're gonna use it a lot, okay? And if you can, I think if you Google it, they have like a colored one. So if you like the pretty colors, whatever. I mean, you know.
You still need a color printer.
Huh? If you have a color printer too. If you have a color printer, print it in color. It looks a lot better. It stands out. It's actually pretty cool. Okay? Okay. Real important to go over these, and we will in detail, okay? But if you want to mess with them this weekend, it's actually kind of cool. Okay, so I mean, just get into something that you can kind of mess around with or whatever. No big deal. Where if you mess it up, you're not really messing it up. These are actually some pretty cool things too. T, U, and C, okay? T is for a trouble spot, U is for an untranslate, and C is for a conflict, okay? And you'll use those a lot once you get out, okay? Not if, when you get out, okay? A new user may experience occasional frustration when you want to type a number or a word and you forget that hyperkeys are on. Don't get discouraged, guys. Okay? Don't get discouraged. Using AutoMagic and hyperkeys can easily double your editing speed once you get to know it. Okay? The only way you're going to get to know it is by using it. If you think you're going to jump on this thing and just start doing all of this stuff, maybe, if you're that good. I think we've proven that most of us aren't, okay? And don't worry about it, because the first time I started using it, I wasn't either. I didn't know what the heck it was. Hyperkeys, what? You know? God, it is so important now, okay? And you don't, once you start using it, you're gonna wonder what you used to do before, okay? So it's real important. But don't get freaked out. All you have to do is the Z. Okay? All right, keyboard customization. Customization. Did I say customization? Costume making.
Eclipse comes with an extensive set of speed keys and hyperkeys, which are designed for editing efficiency. You can change any of these if you like. Let's see how. Settings, Edit, Keyboard. If hyperkeys are on, you'll first be shown the list of commands that only work when hyperkeys are turned on. These are arranged alphabetically.
Guys, I'm showing you this thing because it's part of the tutorial. It's kind of like that user setting things I was telling you about. You don't want to mess with it too much. You can. When you mess it up, let me know how it works when you call support and they're trying to help you for about 6 or 7 hours. Okay? Probably not that long, maybe just 5 hours. Guys, the stuff that they do is good. They set it up there for a reason. Okay? But if you want to go in here and change it, this is the way to do it. If you want to go in and change it, this is the way to do it. Okay? But I'm going to show you how to do it if you want to go back and do it. Okay?
When hyperkeys are turned on, these are arranged alphabetically.
You see how it's showing you right here? Delete word for D. E is fill in the blank. F is fine. This is all the stuff that it does already. If you want to go in there and change it, you can go and modify it if you want to. okay?
And capital letters are shown as shift, modifying a key. You can assign a function to any key on the keyboard, possibly modified by the control.
So you can go in there and do anything, okay? It probably already does it. So if you need to know what to do, ask somebody that knows or call support, okay? Because it probably already has a command that does it, okay? So don't go in there and start creating things that it probably already does.
Shift or Alt keys. If there's any standard or hyperkey command that you'd like to delete, just select it and press Delete. You can also modify the function of any key or add an entirely new function. It can be added as one that only works when hyperkeys are active, or one that works all the time. Here I'll place my cursor in the keystroke field and press F12. The system will warn you if you try to use a key that's already assigned to a different command.
See what it's saying? It's going to tell you this command already exists. Are you sure you want to do this as a command that already exists? Okay? But if you want to, you can.
So you should find that Eclipse lets you edit your keyboard so that it's set up just the way you like.
Any questions about that? Better not. All right. This is important, okay? Because this is what tells you what these letters do. So now we're going to go into them in detail, okay? So we've already done the A, which does what? Capitalizes what? First letter of the word. Okay, so we've already done that. Shift A, try it. Get on a word.
Do you want to?
Do what? Do what? I don't know. It's right here on key. Shift A. See what it does? So it caps the whole word. Did y'all see that?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Okay. So if you want to go back, I thought what it would do is if you do the Shift A, go back on and do the Shift A, I thought that it would turn it back. It doesn't toggle it, okay? So that's why it doesn't say toggle over here. So when you go back on and do Shift A, it doesn't toggle it back and forth. So now what you have to do is go back and do the oops, okay? Which is Z, okay? So don't freak out, no big deal, all right?
Well, for whatever reason, when I push Z, it takes me all the way back up to edit.
Yeah, that's what happened to me.
To edit, because you started doing something else. It did it to me too.
Okay.
And you may have started messing with other keys and pressing other keys and then do Z and then... Don't lie to me. Don't lie to me. Okay, and it kind of did it to me too, and I was wondering why it did it, and that was why, okay? B is block functions, okay? This is way ahead of what you need to do, what you need to know. But B is block functions, okay? So you can do any of a number of things. You can cut, write, separate, read, paste, any of these things through this, okay? We're gonna get into that later. But that's what the letter B does, okay?
Question. Oh, you said we're gonna do that later.
I'm sorry?
You said we're gonna do that later. I was gonna ask a question.
About the function, about the, yeah. Yeah, we'll do it later. Okay? See what it did right there? Shift B is butting in. Okay? Let's say, and I don't know if they have it or not. So I don't know if it's gonna be able to show something. Yeah, it will. Okay, so say it's right here. Okay? Say you're right here, and this guy's asking the question, and he didn't even get finished with the question, and this guy starts butting in. Okay, he's like, you know, so what's this new program you're learning at? And, oh, it's just a new program that we're learning at, you know, SAC. He never even finished. So you do Shift B. I don't know why I put it up. Oh, I see what it's doing. What it does is it puts the two either answers or questions together. So like if he was saying right here, so what's a new program that you're learning at? And he goes, it's just a question at SAC in the court reporting class. If you put it on the question down here and do the Shift B, it's gonna do the butting in. So he didn't get to finish, so it's gonna put it here and what should have been here. Does that make sense? You know when they butt in, this is kind of, it's not a good place to, I'm trying to find.
So we get the part about the button in part. So where do we put the cursor at to put the dashes so we know that's where they butted in? At the end of the question or at the beginning of the answer?
It's going to be at the second question. Okay, so just for example, let me see if it'll do it. I don't know if it'll let me do it, but we'll see if it does. Okay, so what it did was he started asking the question, they started answering the answer, and then this guy's finishing up the question. He's still going and they're talking at the same time. You were able to get it, but I mean, you know, it happened. Look what happens right here. You're in hyperkeys, Shift B, see what it did?
Oh, okay, so it's
So it puts it in.
Yeah.
okay.
See? Pretty cool. And you'll see once you get into editing how good it is. It's good, okay? But it only does that with the answers or the questions. Does that make sense? So it's only going to do it with the last two questions or if they did it on the answers. So it needs to be on the second
Question.
answer or question. It needs to be on the second one in order for it to work because it's going to do the one behind it for the butting in, okay? Do the Z, takes it off, okay? So you're right here. It doesn't know when you're doing it. You have little functions that you can do on your machine that have the dashes, or these little, the dashes of the butting in, or say that he didn't finish the question. So what's a new program you're learning at? And he just goes into the answer, and the guy never finishes the question, but he asks a new question down here. That's not a butting in down here, okay?
So we just do the button in if we can't get the dashes on our keyboard. we have a stroke to do it on our keyboard.
Yeah, you have a stroke to do it on your keyboard, but let's just say you didn't have time to do it. I mean, you're one. If he's asking a question, this guy's answering, and he's finishing the question,
They're talking pretty fast.
Right.
it's probably going pretty quick. Well, he's butting in over the other guy. So they're already talking over each other. And maybe you're getting it. It happens. I mean, I've done it. Where, I can get it. I can get the dashes again and start going. If you're on your game that day, good. If you're not, which is probably likely, you know, and it happens. Don't freak out. Right here, Shift B, that's what it does, okay? Boom, boom. Got it? That's what that does. Okay, C goes to conflicts. So let's just push C. And it goes to conflicts. So let's just say that's the way you write its, and that's the way you write itself. Okay? Guys, if you're doing these two together, I'll walk you down to that other class that I was talking about earlier. You should be writing conflict-free. Okay? So everything that you write should be different. Okay? You shouldn't have two strokes the same for the same word, or different words, but you know what I'm talking about. It's and its shouldn't be written the same. Okay? I'm telling you, and if you do, that asterisk is going to become your best friend. Okay? Because that's the way you change it. If you do write it the same way. I don't write it the same way. I do this in two strokes still. So people tell you you can't get out because you stroke everything, bring them over here and I'll whack them with the stick, because you can't. Okay? I'm that guy. Okay? So it's no big deal that you stroke it out. I mean, you know, when you're doing something simple like that, is two strokes. It is what it is. I mean, I do it faster. I can do it just as fast as somebody who probably does it with one stroke. I don't even think about it anymore, though. You know, the apostrophe S is so easy for me that I just, you know, I do it. So it's no big deal. Okay? And then Shift C will take you to unresolved conflicts, which just goes back to what I just said. If you write two words the same, then you need to create a conflict. Okay? These are called unresolved conflicts because they're not resolved. I read in the paper over there that you're not supposed to use that solution. Which there is it?
What's the first one?
1. Press 1. See what it does? So when you create a conflict like that, all you do is select the number, comes up. Okay? Pretty cool. If you're like me, remember I told you guys about the doing and the dog? I write it the same, but I use dog with an asterisk. Let's just say I don't. And I write doing and dog the same. And I don't want to use that asterisk because I can't. I have trouble with that thing. Maybe? You do? Okay. Well, then this is going to become your best friend. Conflicts. Okay? Which is not, I mean, it's not terrible, but you're going to spend a little bit of time in your editing doing this because your writing should be a little bit different. Whatever gets you out of school, I don't really care. I don't care if you can't distinguish between whether it's doing or dog, the mechanic. Okay? You know, you see what I'm saying? You know, so a lot of times your conflicts aren't going to be that and they may be close, I'm sorry. They may be. You know, mine, doing and dog are the same, okay? But when it's there, there, and there, a little bit, is it? You know, the contraction, is it T-H-E-I-R? Is it T-H-E-R-E? Yeah, I don't know. Create the conflict, and that's all you do, okay? So that's what Shift Z does. So when you come home after you've taken a deposition, it's like, you know what? I want to see every time that I have a conflict, or every time I have an unresolved conflict. These are unresolved. The conflict was this, and it could be something else, but it fixed itself. The software itself has an artificial intelligence, okay? So the more you start using it, the more it's going to start remembering what you're doing too, okay? And it may be able to pick it itself, but it may not. So if you want to go through there, get all your unresolved conflicts out, then that's all you do. Shift C, fix it. Shift C, fix it. Shift C, fix it. So what was your name? Ariana. So Ariana, you come home, let's just say you have a bunch of them because you don't like to use the asterisk or whatever, and you didn't really have conflict-free writing. You should, but let's just say you don't. But you can do it, and you created conflicts. Then this is what you're going to need to do, okay? The Shift C. Yeah.
So when you like type something and it guesses what it is and it shows up a different color, are those all the conflicts? I mean, I guess I'm trying to figure out how it knows.
It knows because it's in the different colors. See how it's black, green, blue, red. There's different colors for different things that you do, and you're gonna be able to tell the colors by what it's doing. Okay? So you'll be able to know what it is. So all of the blue are unresolved conflicts, which is like this, there, and there.
Okay.
Doing, dog, stuff like that. Okay? So the different colors, and we'll get to that too. But that's a good question. Okay, we've already done the delete, which is the small d. Small d does what? Delete the word. Okay? Capital D deletes the character that you're on. Okay? So the Shift D deletes the character. Delete, small d, deletes the word. Okay? E is an empty field. Okay? And we'll get into that. But they have it on here, so I'm going to show you. So E is going to take you to an empty field. These empty fields are block files. We'll get into that too. Okay? Block files are places where it has this green. Okay? And it may be a different color on yours, but it's probably going to be green. But what it is usually an indication. It shouldn't be Nancy Drew. Although, you don't know Nancy Drew? Yeah. Anywho. So it should be the deposition of witness. And in your block file, it's probably going to be that when I give you your block files. Okay? It's going to be deposition of witness. Because you're not going to take the deposition of Nancy Drew every time you go take a deposition. Okay? It's going to be the deposition of the witness that day. Okay? So you don't need to put Nancy Drew in there. You need to know what it's for. It's the person taking the the deposition that day, and this is probably going to be date. So what it does is when you press E, are y'all in the lesson? Press E. Does it take you here?
Yes.
Type your name in there. All caps. And then press enter. See how it changed it? You can do it with the date too. Put the date in there. What's the date? 11? Oh yeah, it is. September 11, 2017. There's a certain mode that you have to be in, and we'll get into it later. Huh? Took you to the end? Yeah. That's what I'm talking about right now, so don't freak out. There's a certain mode that you can be in, and we'll get into that later, that's going to stop it every time you fill in a blank. Okay? No big deal. But if you're going through editing your job before you edit, if that makes sense, you're going through cleaning everything up before you start editing so that everything is correct, you're ready to go, and your editing is going to go a lot quicker, this is what you do. So I want to fill in everything before I start editing of all of my fill in the blanks. Then that's what you do. Okay? So you want it to kind of keep going to the next one, next one, next one, so that you get to the end. You press Alt-G. You press Alt-G.
I still have a fill in the blank.
You press Alt-G, which is go to page, and then you can press 1 and it'll take you to the top. So I'm kind of giving you what Alt-G is. Alt-G is go to page. Okay? So let's just say you finish here, it stopped. Now you're ready to edit. You go to Alt-G. That's what it looks like. Go to, you're on page 9. You want to be at page 1. Put 1 in there. Okay, it takes you to page 1. So put 1 in there, press enter. Takes you to the top of the thing. Alt-G. Okay? Shift-E is going to create a field. Okay, so say you need to create a field somewhere. Let's just say you need to create a field right here. You do the Shift-E, see what it does? So it opens up this field and it says, what do you want to do? You're going to add a blank in there somewhere. Of what? Well, I need to put the witness in there. Okay, well, put it in. What does it want to be? The witness, okay. Field size, you want to make it adjustable. We'll get more in depth with this. I'm just kind of explaining what it's doing right now, okay, of what Shift-E does. And all it does is it's going to add a field, okay, and that's how you do it. I don't want to get too much into it because I think it's gonna confuse you a little bit. All right, Shift-E, create a field. F. You're right here. All right. Press F. Find. Find, replace. Okay? So it's asking you, what do you want to find? I want to find the. Okay? Put in the, press enter. It takes you to the next, to the. All right? Press Control L. See what it's doing? You don't have to find it every time. If you're looking for the same thing, let's just say you took the deposition of Mr. Shashevsky, okay? And you spelled it S-H-E-F-I-S-K-Y. Shefesky, I don't know. It's really spelled C-Z-Y.
So you have taken.
No, C-Y-Z, huh?
So you have taken.
No, he's a basketball coach.
Oh.
He's a absolutely famous basketball coach, okay? And I just use it because it's kind of a hard word. It's not even spelled anywhere close. Google it. It's not even spelled anywhere close to what it sounds like. It's like C-Y-Z, Shashevsky. Okay, it's ridiculous. Okay, but let's just say you really didn't know how to spell it, but you really didn't want to leave it blank. So every time you put it in there, you put SHEFISKY. Okay, and it's like, oh my God, I put it in this job 47 times. Now I need to go back and change it every time. Okay? That's how you do it. F is what? Find. Okay? So you put in there, now you want to find SHEFISKY, the way you spelled it. And when you pull it up, the find, now you can replace it. So if you know what you want to replace, you can. That makes sense? Yeah? Yeah? Okay. So if you just need to find it, then that's no big deal. I need to find Krzyzewski. That's the way I spell it, T-H-E. Okay? Press enter, takes me to Krzyzewski. I don't want to have to find it every time. I don't want to have to press F, type in Krzyzewski again every time. Control L is look. Look. Write that down. Control L. With F or find keeps doing it. All right? So every time you push Control L, it's just going to keep going to the next Krzyzewski or the word that you typed in. Okay? Got it?
So every time we find it, we have to type the right Krzyzewski, or it'll put it in there for us?
No, it won't. So if you do the find and replace, it will.
Okay.
Okay? So if you come in here and do the find and replace it with, but what I would do, Alt-G, 1, go to the top, and do it again. And just push Krzyzewski, SHEFISKY, and do enter. And then do Control L every time, just to make sure that it didn't miss one. Every now and then it might. Guys, that's why you proofread your stuff too. At the very end of it. Okay? So let's just say that you haven't fixed Krzyzewski yet, and you proofread. You can go through and mark it every time. You know what? I know how to spell it now that I'm proofreading. Fix it in your document so that each time you go, because sometimes when you have, well, it was Krzyzewski's day to run the kids. Well, you're looking for Krzyzewski, not the possessive of Krzyzewski. Does that make sense? So now it's Krzyzewski, but apostrophe S, and it may not pick it up. So now we left it with the SHEFISKY or whatever, apostrophe S. Am I making sense there? So that's what the Control L is for, to go through and make sure that you can find it every time, and go through and proofread it and make sure that you found it. Okay? Yeah.
Have you ever had so many depositions that you paid somebody else to edit your stuff while you worked in the Yeah.
I didn't. And I almost ran myself crazy doing it. You know, and I should have, but I was so far behind that I couldn't afford to really teach somebody to do it. And like people that already had it or knew how to edit or whatever, I'm real anal about my work. And if my name is going on it, then I want to know that it's what it is. You know, and I was just real freaked out. And you know, what I used to deal with was children. You know, you're dealing with the lives of kids and parental rights. And that, I mean, not that everything that we're taking isn't important. This was real important. I mean, so important that you can't go down there and just check out a file. If you're not on that case, you can't check out that file. Everything is under wraps. I mean, you can't just get into stuff when it deals with kids, you know? So I probably should have. I mean, there was a point where I was probably 2,600 pages behind. You know, and on our appeals, it was 10 days turnaround. So, I mean, it was crazy. And I was making a ton of money. But I mean, and then people were just like, why don't you get people to help you with it? It's like, I don't, and I even had students that asked me, hey, you know, and after they learned, you know, whatever, hey, I'll do it for you. It's like, well, you know, editing is a little bit different, you know, when you're doing it for a reporter, okay? And it just, I didn't want to take the time. I didn't have the time to sit down and teach somebody how to do it the way that I wanted it. So
proofreaders are individuals that already know it fixed. Or it can just be done on paper.
proofreaders, not necessarily. Proofreaders are just people that will read the transcript or whatever, make sure that it's right, everything. You have to really know what you're doing if you're proofreading, because you have to know the setup of colloquy, setting up a witness with direct examination, cross-examination, redirect, recross, the bylines, all of this stuff. There's a lot that goes into it. And you're going to see once we get in depth how much really goes into getting a transcript out. You know, people say, well, you guys make too much money for what you do. Ignorance is bliss. Because if you believe that, you're going to find out why we make the money that we do. It's worth it, but yeah. Okay? So, yeah.
And fine, can you say then part of a word if you like don't?
Sometimes you can. It's real funny about that too. You know, if you just press T, I don't know that it'll, see, it won't do it. And you know that there's 87 D's in there, and it won't find it. So I don't know. A lot of times it's real specific about what you need to find. And I wish that it did, because that's actually pretty good. It's actually a pretty good thing. So find, okay? Capital F is reverse, okay? And maybe it's not. Tonight it's not. It's not doing it. Oh, I think I know what it was doing. I know what it was doing. F is find from there forward. Shift F is find from there back. Okay? So reverse.
Back to the top, okay.
Yeah. So if it's behind and you need to find something behind that you already did, it's like, well, I know I already did Krzyzewski like 8 times already, but God, do I want to do the Alt-G, which is?
Global. Oh, Alt-G is go to page.
Go to page, okay? Do I want to do Alt-G, go to 1, do F and find? I can do it from right there. Well, it's behind, it's reverse. So how do I do that?
Shift F.
Shift F. Okay? F, forward, Shift F, reverse. Okay?
So
Got
Shift
that?
F will come in handy if you made it all the way to the bottom of the transcript. And you want to go back and find the word, make sure everything's going.
Yeah, you could. Or you could just do the Alt-G. If you're at the end, you know, to me, I mean, if you're already at the end, just go to the page 1 and just do it down.
Okay.
It'll be easier. But you can. You can. I mean, it's going to work. You know what? It's going to work the same.
Right.
Because you're either at the end or at the beginning. So it's going to work the same. So yeah, it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay? G is global. Let's see if it does. All right, so it brings it in. So when you want to global something, this is what it's going to look like. Okay? It's going to open a box like this. So whatever the steno stroke it is going to be right here. God only knows why that came up for that. I don't really care right now. Okay? And once we get into it, you're going to see what it's doing, okay? That you need a global. But let's just say you write this for this, okay? Let's just say it was arthroscopic. Okay? So you globed it. Here's your steno here. Now it's highlighted and it's asking you, is this what you meant to put in here? Or it's going to have that little box right here of the suggestions that it thinks it's close to. Okay? It doesn't really have any suggestions because it's all of this. Okay? So when it's that big, it may not have anything for this. But as we get into it, you'll kind of see what I'm talking about later. But this is the box and what it opens it up to. Okay, so you can have a spelling. If you don't know how to spell it, just put it in there, press spelling, and it brings up different spellings, remember? So let's just say we want to check the spelling on that. Now it brings up this box of spelling alternatives. Okay, so it gives you different alternatives of what it thinks that you were trying to do there. Remember? Y'all remember that? You can delete stuff, you can review stuff, lock. See, lock changes different things, and I don't want to get too far ahead. I'm just kind of showing you what the buttons are, okay? So you can put things in there, and what these little things do is they keep the words together. So let's just say he was talking about whatchamacallit situation. So it has to be a situation, it has to be words that are put together, that stay together, that it's a multitude of words that are trying, nevertheless situation. So it's kind of, God, I'm trying to think of the word. It'll come to me in just a little bit. But what it's doing is these words are highlighting this word. So it's a certain kind of situation to where it's hyphenated, or they need to be together. Like Jack in the Box. Well, where did he go? He went to Jack in the Box before he got robbed. Okay. Well, you don't want it Jack in the box. You don't want that. You always want names, places, things together. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay? Am I making sense? You don't want Jack in the box ever. Okay? You don't want David Zarate like that. It's always going to be the same, and that's what these little things do, is they keep it together.
Make sure it's on the same line.
Make sure it's on the same line. Your Honor, Mr., Mrs., Mr. So-and-so, Mrs. So-and-so, always need to be together. It's not Mr. Zarate, Ms. Smith. It's never like that. Always together. Don't ever do that. Okay? Proper English. Don't do that. Okay? And that's what that's doing right there. So you do lock again and say it needs to be. Now this is what I'm talking about. This is what I was talking about, a certain situation. So it's a maybe we see situation. He was in a maybe we see situation. It's a maybe we see situation because it's highlighting or defining situation. Does that make sense to y'all? If it doesn't, tell me, because I need to explain it, because that's what this does. Okay? It locks the words together. So it's either keeping them together, which was the other one, making sure Jack in the Box is all together, because Jack in the Box is not hyphenated. Okay? But you want it together. The squiggly lines keep it together. These are hyphenated. So it's a mind-boggling situation. Mind-boggling is hyphenated, okay? Because it's a certain situation. That's what it needs to be, and that's how you can lock it. And you keep doing it, and then it just takes it back. That's what lock does in global. Got it?
Got it.
Am I on system overload right here, right now? Are y'all okay?
Yeah.
Anyone asleep in the back? All right. Okay. Capital G is go to. So that's another go to page. So now you don't have to do Alt G, you can do Shift G. That's go to page. Alt G, Shift G does the same thing. Shift G, not in hyperkeys, doesn't do that. Now you have capital G. So it only does it in hyperkeys, okay? M is mark. So let's say you want to mark certain words. See what it's doing? So it's marking these words to do certain things. So now I want to delete all of this stuff. So I want to mark it, and then you arrow down. See what it's doing? Now you can mark more text by arrowing down. So it's all it's doing is just it's highlighting, marking it, okay? And then you can do whatever you need to do with it. Press escape. M is money conversion. Did you just sneeze? Bless you. Let it out. M is money conversion, okay? So now you're looking for see if it works right here. See what it just did? All you do is Shift M. Puts $1 in there. In hyperkeys. In hyperkeys. So it's going to do money conversion. All right? N is what? Or
replace.
In
Hyperkey.
Insert.
Oh, and-
Thank you. Insert. N is insert or replace, type in text. Okay? And sometimes it won't do it. Maybe you're in a crazy mode, and we'll kind of get into it later. Sometimes there's crazy modes in this that it's like you're pressing in and it's not doing it, because over here in the